So now you can actually get the titanium and Stravidium in the shield wall, which means you could drive around with your buggy and not have to worry about the worm. In just one section, there are 25 to 30 nodes. That is a lot. It is way more than I expected and way more than you could get in the PvE zones before. You could easily fill up a buggy out here. They also reduced the respawn timer on these nodes, making it even more PvE friendly since most people are probably going to be farming these nodes now. But likely there is more than enough to go around. The carrier got some major buffs. Its dragonfly mode got a 20% buff, going from 100 to 120. The generator heat buildup was halved, which essentially means it can use its thrusters for twice as long now. The boost power overall was increased by 10%, making the booster faster as well. And on top of that, it increases the boost speed in vulture mode, now giving it an additional boost beyond top speed. It now has a top speed of 173, and it feels really good to fly. One more change to the carrier they made is that you can now cut your cargo to escape faster. Assault ornithopters have also had their thrusters changed, so that now they give an additional boost above that top speed. The Mark 6's new top speed is 185, making it incredibly difficult to catch with anyone who has rockets equipped. This thing is back in play. Halved the sandbike scanner deterioration, halved the scout ornithopter scanner deterioration, halved scout ornithopter wings deterioration, and reduced the assault ornithopter wings deterioration by 30%. Colliding ornithopters will now get knocked back to separate them. This will mitigate the griefing done to carrier ornithopters by swarming with multiple ornithopters. If you hadn't seen, this was an issue for some people where large guilds would just completely swarm another person's carrier, forcing it into the ground, making it really hard to get away and very likely to get eaten by a worm. So they adjusted this so now that you bounce off of things, so it makes it a lot harder to grief people, which is obviously really important. They fixed invisible spice. At least it would appear they did. The patch notes state partially harvested spice fields now show correct visuals after a server restart. So you all are probably familiar with when you harvest spice and nothing actually comes up. Well, this should be fixed now. Corrected the Tarl Cutteray Mark 5 could drop from aluminum tier locations, and that Sandflies Carver could drop from duraluminum locations. These two uniques have now been swapped. So here's an idea of where you can now find the Tarl Cutteray and where you would find the Sandflies Carver. The Suspensor Blast got a much needed huge nerf. It no longer gives you hyper armor while holding it down. This made you very difficult to be taken down, almost invincible against some NPCs. You now get hyper armor for 1 second after activated instead of the entire duration. Previously, you could dodge or right click to cancel it, and it would give you a shorter cooldown of 2.5 seconds. Now it goes on a full cooldown, whether you use it or cancel out of it. No more short cooldown. And to push it into the dirt even further, your stamina and power recharge are blocked while holding it down. Previously, both would recharge. Increase the penalty to headshot damage from center of mass to -25% from -10% at all levels of the technique. Remove the body damage penalty from the marksman technique. Fixed an issue where the self-healing passive gave less of a bonus than intended. Increased the power regeneration bonus granted by the rerouting passive to 3, 6, and 10% per respective level from 2.5, 5, and 10%. Fixed an issue that caused Crippling Strike to cost twice as much as stamina as it should. Reduced the power regeneration bonus from source of power to 30% from 100%. So this is a huge nerf. Redistributed flower sand and spice sand fields in Haga Basin to allow the worm to reach them. So if you didn't know, there's a couple locations where you could just freely farm flower sand without attracting the worm at all. So unfortunately, they have changed that. It makes sense, but this is a bit of a bummer. Increase the volume of rockets and missiles from 0.05 to 0.2. So now a full stack has a volume of 50. This is actually a really nice change because before you could essentially carry infinite rockets on you, or as many as you could ever possibly need. So this will make a big deal for how many you're actually able to bring with you, both for the rocket launcher and the missile launcher. Increased the crafting cost of rockets from 1 duralumin ingot plus 10 fuel cells to 4 duraluminum ingots plus 20 fuel cells. It's not a crazy increase in cost. I honestly already felt like the cost was way too low, so this one actually seems like a good balance. To make items more attractive to buy from vendors, several items have had their prices adjusted. This is another really nice change. A lot of stuff at the vendors makes absolutely 0 sense to buy because it is so outrageously expensive. A couple of things here, like the melange spice things, are going to be really nice for Landsrad because those are hard to get for Landsrad rewards, so it might make it more viable to buy them. Things like low-grade lubricant makes it now actually purchasable instead of only being able to farm it. And then just to kind of counteract the increase in cost of rockets have been adjusted from 4,000 to 200. Missiles have also gone down too. So now those are going to be something that you're actually going to be able to purchase, even though the cost went up. So that was kind of a little bit of balance. The Solido replicator will now encode placeables and decorations, allowing you to copy your fully functional and stylish bases with everything included. Previously, it was just the structures. You couldn't even copy the crafting stations and whatnot, but now everything should be included, which will make things a lot easier to replicate and record your base. Added 3 new modules to the base management menu, the Subfief console, that shows information about the base's power supply, water storage, and inventory capacity. It is now possible to place pillars between walls, which will help a lot with building. Before, you could not snap them, but now they will. Pentashield surfaces can now sustain damage, just like the corners. So a lot of people thought that these things were invincible, but you actually just needed to damage the corners, but they've adjusted it, so now you just need to hit any spot. Fixed an issue where you could build horizontal pentashields without attaching them to walls. So most likely no more of those floating all pentashield bases. Fixed an issue that could cause Holtzman's shield to activate after exiting a vehicle if it was already activated before entering. This one for me, personally, super annoying. I'm glad they fixed it. Can't tell you how many times I got out of my Thopter, my shield went off, and then the worm came immediately. Super annoying. Fixed an issue where you would not get XP from discovering a location while in a vehicle. I'm glad that they finally fixed this, but you probably missed out on a lot of XP if you went around in your Thopter or other vehicle trying to uncover locations. 2 big UI changes, the first one being the one that everyone has been waiting for. They added the deposit all blood and water buttons. Another nice change, but probably not as wanted, is that you can now search for items in the crafting menu and on the exchange. I know there's a ton of stuff I left out. I tried to stick to more of the standout things. I highly encourage you, though, to read through some of these, mostly because I know what people are wanting most, and that's new content. But there is an insane amount of stuff in here that is being put in for bug fixes, stability, balance, fairness, and so on. These are the things that actually make or break a game, not new content. Take it from an Ark player where every few months a whole new map and a bunch of new creatures come out, but the game is so broken and every single person is screaming at the devs to stop pumping out content and fix the game. The grass is always greener on the other side. I just want to encourage people to appreciate how much fixing is going on here before they start piling on a bunch of new content that likely causes more issues. Anyway, tiny rant aside, this update is a big one and there is a lot to check out.